Well, we're asking you a question that's related to state capture today, asking now that the final parts of the state capture report have been officially handed over to the president, what are your thoughts? We're actually encouraging our viewers to call in as well. I'll give you that number as soon as it's available to me, but you can send your tweet at @the_agenda_SABC. There's a number on the screen, 011-714-7375. Call in and let us know what your thoughts are about this development. And as I say this, I bring this in our specialist reporter here at the SABC, Maswele, Ralebona. Maswele, thank you so much for making the time. As a person who's in the research space, the State Capture Commission must have really given you lots and lots of information and data to go through. And as we've reached this point where a final report has been headed in, what are your thoughts?
Sleepless nights last night trying to dissect what is in the report, but we are happy that finally the wait is over. And what we found, one of the important recommendation that the Zondo Commission did was to ask for the electoral amendment so that people, South Africans, can directly vote for the president. You will remember that as we speak now, there's an electoral amendment bill in Parliament that has at least 6 months to go before it can be delivered and signed by the president to be a law. So we have to watch and see what's going to come out of that, if indeed the MPs or the Parliament is going to implement this recommendation by the Zondo Commission.
Of course, you reckon that that particular recommendation is an indictment on the ANC?
Of course, when you go into the reports, among the 4 recommendations that he made outside the state-owned entities and the departments and individuals that he was dealing with, there's one where he says Parliament must form a standing committee, an oversight committee, and the ruling party shouldn't be allowed to prevent the standing committee to do its work.
Even in spite of its numbers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You will remember that recently, or during that time of the 9 wasted years, as they put it, there were times where reports and other issues were brought to Parliament, but MPs would sweep it aside and overruled by the majority so that the reports don't go anywhere. And some of them ended in the Constitutional Court. You remember the Nkandla report ended in Constitutional Court, and the Parliament was found wanting under Mebalekambete.
You were speaking about electoral amendment bill, but let's talk about those 4 recommendations and just unpack them for our viewers.
The first one of them is the one that I just said, that Parliament must form a standing committee that will not be hindered to do its job by the majority in Parliament. In this case, the majority then was the ANC, and it's still the majority. So we really want to see if indeed this Parliament will implement and allow illegal processes to take place. Then remember, there's been for years, we've heard about the Slabbert van Zyl report that recommended electoral amendment as early as 2003, but the ruling party, or in South Africa, let me put it in, politicians didn't want to entertain that, but Zondo brought it back this time around. Desiree.
What are the chances of these recommendations actually being implemented?
The president has already announced that in the next 4 months, he will be taking this matter to Parliament for Parliament to decide or to recommend what must happen going forward. When you check, Desiree, lots and lots, like I heard not long ago, lots and lots of influential people, top ANC members in the top 6 in the NEC are implicated in this report. And what we've seen before is that as long as there's somebody influential in this corruption.
Yeah.
Things get swept under the carpet.
Let's name some of those influential people. He speaks about Minister Mahlobo and Kwele's tenure at SSA and the current situation there. Just in terms of specifics, what can we see happening here in relation to law enforcement?
The Zondo Commission found that during the time of Siyabonga Kwele and David Mahlobo as ministers of SSA, they were interfering and lots of rules were not followed. One of them was that the true ministers were able to hire people who are their families or relatives to the SSA. They overruled top officials in the SSA. In this case, there was Razik Sheikh, there was Maketuka, and the other one was, I think, Domo. They were overruled. Even when they wanted to investigate the issue by current Minister of Transport, Fikile Mbalula, where he revealed that he had for the first time that he's going to be appointed Minister of Sports from the Guptas. When these three wanted to investigate that, Siyabonga Kwele told them that it's not important. They then took the matter to former President Jacob Zuma, who told them that the Guptas are his trusted friends, so that then he can't allow that to happen.
I think we can check that, but I think Loma was one of the enforcers. Let's speak now to Ayanda Abba, who has just called us in. I hope I said your surname correctly. Ayanda, thank you so much for calling us this morning. What are your thoughts? Ayanda, are you there? Right, you seem to have lost our caller there. We'll hope they will try again. But just the big sense that, as a researcher, do you get a sense that this is a seminal moment for South Africa? Just that sentiment all around that it's all good and well to have this report, but it will not stop further state capture.
Given the fact that when the Zondo Commission was sitting, a lot of people were arrested. You remember current Secretary of the ANC is on step aside because of the Zondo Commission, Edwin Sodi and others, and constantly appearing in court, but the court processes are not moving forward. They are not the only ones, but this doesn't seem to be going anywhere. We hope, or South Africans, as we speak, if you check Twitter and everywhere where South Africans have voices, they really skeptical as to whether this is going to give us something, or it's just another report like we've seen with others. Yes, yeah. And you'll remember that this was not the first time Commissioner Zondo, Chief Justice Zondo released the report. The first report was released in January, and since then, those who were implicated in January have not been they haven't accounted for their wrongdoings. So we don't know what's going to happen with this one.
Interesting that as he comes out and charges the president of the country in wrongdoing, Arthur Fraser also then comes out in the state capture report in terms of how he should be treated as well, and his stated wrongdoings. What are your thoughts there?
If you check, according to the Zondo report, when Arthur Fraser became the DG of SSA, his office budget moved from 42,000 to more than 42 million to more than 300 million. During that time, money was withdrawn in cash and given to Minister David Mahlobo. To some of them,
parallel operations
apparently went to former President Jacob Zuma. But the Zondo Commission says there's no evidence that money reached the former president. Some large chunk of money was withdrawn, and it was used to buy food or to feed, as it's put on the report, to feed ANC veteran during the ANC January 8 rally in Rustenburg in 2016. So a lot of money was used to bribe people to to bribe people into doing things that were not supposed to be done. The money was used illegally.
Yeah.
So what the commission is recommending on this finding is that the Auditor General must be allowed to check the books of the SSA as we speak now. SSA
Wow.
books are not audited. But the
exercise.
Zondo Commission is saying, without compromising the security of the state, let's find a way to get the Auditor General to check the books of the SSA.
Okay, I just want to bring in a political analyst, Mr. Levi Ndo. A very good morning to you, sir, and thanks for making the time to speak to us this morning. Can the recommendations of the report help in ending corruption in South Africa?
Good morning, Desiree. Good morning to the viewers at home. To a certain extent, yes, because it will mean that people that are given responsibilities, either in government and elsewhere, will have to start acting with caution, because they might then know that commissions like this one might be established, and those that might be seen to be fearful or those who do not want to see wrongdoing happening might end up reporting them. Equally, thieves by their own nature would always try to find new means and methods to continue doing their wrong things. So in a way, yes, it has a potential to limit a wrongdoing, but the continuation would actually be done at a very, very minimal level.
And the politicians implicated in the report, are you confident that action will be taken against them?
You need the political will to be able to deal with these politicians. The fortunate part we have is that President Ramaphosa has already indicated that he is willing and he wants to ensure that these recommendations have to be implemented. What I would expect from the president is that he should rise above party politics, rise above factions and different groupings in South Africa, and become the president of all of us. What he must do is not to favor anyone. It's not also to take sides when these recommendations have to be implemented. But I need to emphasize, Desiree, that this is not going to be an easy route, because the president has to rely on many other institutions and people for the implementation of the recommendation. You would need the NPA. You would need different disciplinary committees to be set up in the SOEs and in many other state departments. You will then also need the cooperation also of those that are implicated in order to make life easy. Equally, you're still going to get people who might then decide to challenge the findings of the report. It is not going to be an easy way, but the information is right in front of us. What is required is for those that have the responsibility to act, to do that in our favor.
I'm just referring to the point you were making about many stakeholders needing to be part of this. The president has said as much in his response, saying that the actions or the implementation of the recommendations will be a collective effort. Will this delay matters?
Of course, it has a potential to delay matters. Your researcher was indicating there, Maswele, that since we had the first report, nothing has actually moved in relation to those that are implicated. So you need our law enforcement agencies, institutions that are given the responsibility to act, to actually do all of us a big favor by working. But equally, you need them to be properly capacitated, and they must be able to collect as much evidence and information as possible, so that when they take these matters to court, it becomes easy and it does not drag for a longer period of time. But the information is in front of us. We know the implicated people, and it is time for those that are supposed to act to actually do so right now.
A parallel story that's been coming alongside the state capture process was how former President Jacob Zuma is treated in this process. And the report says that he wittingly or unwittingly aided the Gupta family. How will this take the process forward?
It makes the work much easier. Maybe it's important to go back to the initial purpose why the commission was established. There was a concern that the Gupta family appears to be having an undue influence on former President Jacob Zuma. And a lot of people were saying that the Gupta family even have an influence on the appointment of ministers and, of course, diverting a number of government businesses in their favor. And that necessitated this commission. And, of course, I am not surprised with the findings of the commission, because the actual purpose for its establishment was to look at these matters. Jacob Zuma might have done so because he's actually he had that kind of an undue relationship with the family. What we need to wait for now is for the law enforcement agencies to take action. And what might also frustrate the whole process is that at the process of the commission, Jacob Zuma himself decided not to participate or cooperate with the commission. And some might view it as if he knew that is actually going to be implicated, he has done wrong, or the reasons that is actually provided might be valid. But the bottom line now is that the report is in front of us, he's implicated, and then it means he has got an uphill mountain to climb in order to clear his name.
Mr. Ndou, thank you so much for your thoughts this morning. We were encouraging our callers or our viewers to call in, and we've got Victor Zulu from Mpumalanga. Very good morning to you, Victor. What's on your mind about the release of the final tranche of the state capture report?
Thank you so much for having me. The evidence is in front of us. The state capture report has already been handed over. But I'll be sharp and short. The president must deal with those who are implicated before December, because they are going to vote him out. And they are going to even scrap the investigating unit that he already established. He must deal with these people before December, because in Nazareth, they are going to vote him out. And we are going to be suffering as South Africans.
Thank you so much, Victor, and your thoughts there. Let's speak to Opa Macheke from Soweto. Very good morning to you, Opa. How are you doing this morning, and what's on your mind? Opa, are you still with us?
Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, ma'am.
A very good morning to you, Opa. Your thoughts about the release of the final report?
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you very well.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, and good morning to your viewers. My thoughts about the state capture as a citizen of our country, I believe the state capture, the establishment of the state capture, it has played a big role in our country. Because we have been waiting for so long to see the wheels of the justice turning to the big guns. Because if you can see on the big guns, the record on the number of arrests for the top officials, the government officials, we don't have that real record on putting the culprit behind bars who have been doing the wrong things. But we say thanks to the Zondo Commission on this report, because we will see the wheels of the law turning now, recently, because we want to see all the people behind bars who have done everything wrong. Thank you. That's my comment on the state capture.
Thank you so much. And let's get back to our specialist researcher, Maswele, Ralebona. Maswele, just your thoughts about that statement that former President Jacob Zuma, wittingly or unwittingly, enabled the Gupta family? Why do you think it is that Chief Justice Zondo didn't just come out and say this is what his role was?
Unfortunately, the former president didn't avail himself to continue testifying during the state capture, which allows the Chief Justice to make his own conclusions, given the evidence before him from other witnesses who implicated former President Jacob Zuma. You will remember also that when the former public protector recommended state capture inquiry, she was looking at the Gupta's influence to him, but the president himself extended the scope to include all corruption that has been happening, which in turn, others are saying in turn, it meant that the ANC is on trial. But also, if you check as we speak now, many of those who are implicated, former Minister Msebenzi Zwane, former Minister Faith Mtambi, Gwede Mantashe, Mahlobo, many of them are still in government as we speak. Those who are not ministers are chairpersons of portfolio committees in parliament. These are the people who are supposed to go who are supposed to take the report to in parliament and recommend what's the way forward. That's where it gets interesting, that the very same implicated people are supposed to decide what must happen to themselves. And if we were in I would like to believe that in other democracies, in a situation like this, if you get implicated, you step aside and allow the processes to run without your interference. But we are in South Africa, and we have seen since the beginning of release of these reports in January, the first one was in January 4th, and now that nobody amongst them, many of them have came forward to say, we are going to review the report in court, but they haven't gone to court.
In fact, I wanted to ask you about that possibility. You've been talking about quite a few times in this conversation about the possibility of people implicated going to have the report put under review. Do we see former President Jacob Zuma going a similar route?
It's interesting when it comes to former President Jacob Zuma, because we know that he's been in courts. He's got more than one case in court as we speak, and he's been going through all courts avenues to make sure that he doesn't get his day in court, if I may put it that way.
Yeah.
But so I believe that the former president, since the recommendations are says he must be investigated and be charged, he will take the report to review.
Mandla Ngcobo is on the line calling us about this conversation. Mandla, what are your thoughts? A very good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning. Thank you, President, your guest. What I want to say is this, yes, the final report is out, and we are happy, we are celebrating about that. But the problem is that it won't change anything. The corruption will still continue. Nothing will happen. Nobody will be arrested. That is my concern. Because the people who are supposed to investigate, the law enforcement, they won't do that. That's my concern.
Mandla, are arrests enough? What needs to be done to change culture, just in terms of condoning corruption?
No, it's not easy to change the culture, because those people who are on top, they are corrupt. So to change it is not easy. Maybe the only way to change it is to not vote, maybe the ANC, maybe that maybe will be better. But if we're still putting the ANC as the leading government, the corruption will be still there.
But just generally, are you happy that government is, at least from the release of the report, seen to be doing something about corruption?
But how much we are spending to investigate that? We're spending a lot of money.
Yeah.
Maybe they say maybe it's 5 billion. That 5 billion you can create so many a job for those people who are unemployed.
Yeah, Mandla.
Because at the end of the day, nobody will be arrested.
Yeah, Mandla, just exposing those different nuances that go along with this process. Let's talk to Jonathan Palama now, who's calling us from Pretoria. Jonathan, are you pleased with the outcomes of the report?
Yes, definitely, Desiree. I think as South African, we need to take this report seriously. And, those people who are implicated in the report, they need to face the law. I mean, if these recommendations that the Chief Justice has said, and we don't take them seriously as the country, the law enforcement, they don't do their job, and then we're just going to fail again. We will complain of the crime, it will never end.
What for you is the most important aspect of the report?
For me, looking at how the money was looted, I think that money could have developed the country, could have created jobs. I definitely agree with most people when they say that ANC, it's about time they need to shape up. ANC is full of corrupt leaders, and it's mind-blowing actually to see how the people who said they fought for the struggle, and they are now the ones that are destroying the whole concept that they fought for.
Thank you so much for your call. And Maswele, let me bring you back in. Jonathan, a second caller concerned about the money. He is concerned about the money that was looted. Mr. Mandla was concerned about money that is being spent on the process to try and uncover the corruption. Where do we get the balance there?
In many instances where money was looted, money was used illegally, the Commission recommends that, like the SABC must uncover the 5 million that was spent during the TNA breakfast. Money that was spent during SSA must be uncovered, but I don't see it happening. We've had these kind of cases in South Africa before, and we will those implicated will, like I said, will take the matter to court until we lose interest. At some point, we don't know where the issue ended.
In fact, just as at the top of my head, I'm thinking now an institution such as the Auditor General, which already has its work cut out for it, is it able to take on more work?
As we speak now, let me take you back to last week when the Auditor General was releasing the MF,
the local government
report.
State of affairs.
Since the past term of municipalities, 2016 to 2021, more than 100 billion was lost in unauthorized, fruitless, and wasteful expenditure. And the Auditor General has requested that money must be recovered. But nothing is happening. Nothing is happening. So this is South Africa. We've seen these things happening. We've had people complaining about money that being used. We had Marikana Commission not long ago. We had Amsdale Commission. What came out of that? What came out of that? What results can we point out and say this is as a result of that commission? So we are back to square one. If
you reckon? All right. Some of the participants in the conversation are on Twitter. Let's take a look at some of the tweets that have come through. But I love this board that we have that just gives you all the different faces of the people who went through to the State Capture Commission. And with a look at each face, you just remember the story there. Let's take a look at a tweet by Shaman Vuyogazi. She says, our president is accused of money laundering, kidnapping, bribery, and defeating the ends of justice. The man also broke his oath of office by engaging in business while being president of the republic. Why is he receiving Zondo reports? And they have Fraser there. Kagiso Monyadiwa says Ramaphosa will use this report to eliminate political opponents within his party, ANC, so that he secures himself a second term. For me personally, ANC is the reason why a 1 billion rand of taxpayers was spent on this commission. It's their corruption modus operandi that brought us here. Kolile Njozi saying, morning Desiree, what is key the most in all of us South Africans and the people of the world is action now, post this report. Those who did wrongdoing, they must face law, period, no matter how you are or what position you hold in society. We're all equal according to the Constitution. I think we have another caller, Ayanda Manyati from KZN. Sanda Manyati, a very good morning to you. How have you processed these latest developments about the release of the last section of the State Capture Report?
A very good morning to you and your guest. Can I tell you something? Nothing will happen because we had a commission of inquiry in relation to the Marikana massacre, but nothing happened. What is going to happen is that I'm telling you that you will see a lot of court review applications and they will be attempting to set aside the recommendations by the commissioner of the State Capture Inquiry. So nothing will happen according to my view. And if you were to take these matters to court, I'm telling you because I was going through the recommendations by the commissioner. A lot of the recommendations, they send back these matters for further investigation to institutions such as Hawks, your SIU. But what's going to happen is that it's going to be only investigation, or they will haphazardly charge those ones who are implicated by the reports, but you'll never see the results. That's my own view.
It's interesting how this thread has really been going on, the pessimism about the non-action on the report. Let's speak to Stephen from Mafikeng now. Stephen, what's on your mind?
Good morning, ma'am, and how are you?
We're good, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, it's loud and clear. It's very simple. We don't have to confuse ourselves. In the role of democracy, people have to step aside so that there is no disturbance. Because, I mean, now they have been given a platform, but they are the very wrongdoers. So how confused are we in South Africans? We are so confused. It's very simple. These people, they just need to step aside and then we take the position. Because as I'm speaking right now, people are now at their homes without food, without nothing, without electricity. So how do we keep on giving the wrongdoers an opportunity to continue and rule us wherever our people are now in misery? When you go in towns, you get street kids sleeping in boxes at the next doors of shops here in Maswele. So it's actually a misery when you come in this side. So these people, they just need to step aside peacefully, and then we continue with our work because we need to take care of the communities. The communities are struggling a lot. No job, no nothing. People are sitting at home with their degrees. It's in an awkward position in South Africa. These people let them just 4 months is too much. 4 months is too much. They just need to step aside and then we take the position of what we will do with our country. Thank you very much.
Stephen, thank you so much for highlighting the struggles of the people where you are, because these are the very outcomes of corruption and state capture. Maswele, I'm going to let you go now, but I just want to ask you, just the fact that the chairperson of the State Capture Commission is now a Chief Justice and has his work cut out for him in that space, does that bode well for just continued conversations and reactions and engagements with the report? Does it mean he's now completely removed from the process?
The interesting one that I'm seeing is that when the Concord found that the current electoral laws are invalid. He was the Deputy Chief Justice, and he was very much involved in that process. Now he comes, and they asked Parliament to go and correct that act. And now he comes back to say Parliament must come up with an electoral bill that will see us voting for the president straight without voting for the political party. So I'm thinking when this recommendation is not implemented, the Chief Justice will be sitting there at the Concord waiting to remind them who he is in this whole process, And also with regard to that electoral amendment of the Constitution, I don't know why it's even important at this point to elect for the president, given what is happening with our neighbors. Because take, for example, Zimbabwe, Mozambique, and other African countries, they vote for president. They don't vote for political for the political parties like we do with our proportional representation system. But look at their countries, what is happening. Corruption is there in Zimbabwe. In other countries, in other African countries, the politicians are richer than the state.
And that's a conversation for another day. I said I was going to release you, but not just yet. Let's take a caller. Tabanisa is calling us. Tabanisa, where are you calling us from?
I'm calling you from Cape Town.
What are your thoughts this morning?
Look, thank you very much for taking my call first and foremost, and good morning to your guest and to the viewers of SABC.
Good morning to you.
My only view and concern is that we are in this mess because our people in this country have followed blindly leaders that were so corrupt, and unfortunately they still continue to do that. We are still going to sit in this mess for the next 20 years, or we are going to be in this mess for another generation, if I can put it that way. One of the things that I want to ask your analyst there is, what does he think of moving forward from where we are? We're sitting with almost 60% or even more than 60% of unemployment. This country is not implementing simple things of taking youth into its confidence and employing youth into institutions that will assist to unpack even this report that was given yesterday, or the commission's report. What does he think of us taking this country forward? Because we are really not going to do anything if we will continue swimming in the same old waters where all this corruption happens. We need to look into the future of this country. Our kids are going to end up with the debt that was created by this government for the next 200 years, and it's unfortunate. We thought that this freedom is supposed to give South Africans a real freedom that Africans all over in Africa have achieved. Unfortunately, even in Africa, you don't see any difference. So I wish that our analysts can come up with another view. These waters now are muddied and they're dirty. Let's look into the future. Thank you very much.
That's an interesting question, George. And Maswele, you've been leaning a lot on the legislation as we have been talking. But will this report solve our socioeconomic ills?
I don't think so. I don't think so. Remember, Desiree, that, like I said from the beginning, that the people who are supposed to go and dissect further into the report are in Parliament. And these are the people who were in Parliament even during state capture. Take, for example, our current president, President Cyril Ramaphosa, was the deputy
president. Who the
president.
Zondo Commission says could have done better.
Yeah, he was the deputy president and the government business leader of government business during the time. He indicated during the the commission during the hearings.
When he appeared there.
He appeared, and Zondo has the Chief Justice have found that he could have done better. He could have spoken.
Is it fair
earlier.
that the Chief Justice says he could have done better instead of saying this was your part in it?
When I look at the legislation, South African legislations, it says if you know of something wrong happening and then you don't report it, that's illegal.
You're complicit.
You see, you are complicit to what is happening. So, unfortunately, in the part that Zondo speaks about President Ramaphosa, he doesn't give us findings. He doesn't give us recommendations. He just speaks as an opinion of some sort.
Mr. Hunt, calling us from Alberton, a very good morning to you. Your thoughts about this conversation?
Say again?
A very good morning to you.
I can't hear you.
We can hear you clearly.
Okay, I want to give my contribution to this thing about the Pandora Commission and the corruption in this country.
Did you say it's the Pandora Commission?
Huh?
Did you call it the Pandora Commission?
I'm talking about this that's on TV now, with the Pandora Commission, Ramaphosa, state capture, and corruption in this country. This Pandora Commission has been going on for years. Nobody has been prosecuted yet. Why doesn't the interviewer ask these guys, why has nobody been prosecuted from the ANC? They're all walking free. This incident was a theft at the farm. Nothing will happen with that. It will be squashed as usual. Nobody at the ANC that's been in this corruption, that's corrupted millions, billions of rands from the taxpayers' money, have not been prosecuted yet. The only person that's been prosecuted at the moment is a Gritty. That's the only guy that's sitting in jail. The rest of them are walking around free.
Mr. Hunt, I agree with
Why are
you.
they walking around free?
Mr. Hunt, I agree with you that prosecutions are important, but is there something to be said for changing culture? A culture of corruption.
Culture. I'm sorry to say this, but the culture in South Africa now is corruption. That's the main corruption. That is our new culture, is corruption. Because the ANC is riddled with corruption. The ESCOM is corruption. The railways is corruption.
I'm going to have to let you go now. We're chasing the top of the next hour. Let's just bring in Sabelo. Sabelo, a very good morning to you. Where are you calling us from?
I'm calling from the Free State at the moment.
Sorry, where's that?
Free State. I'm calling from Free State at the moment.
Yes.
One, I'm very much concerned with the issue of this report in terms of saying, why didn't we date it back to the era of apartheid or of Mandela? Because we are very much aware.
I don't think we could have done that, Sabelo. It had clear specifications. I don't know if I'm wrong, Maswele, that there were clear terms of reference for this process.
When a commission of inquiry is set up, there are terms of reference, and you, as a commissioner of that, you cannot go.
You can't go beyond what is stipulated in your terms of reference.
Yes.
Maswele, thank you so much for indulging us. Maswele is a specialist researcher here at the SABC. Maswele Ralebona. Thanks again for your time.
Thank you.
Let's take a quick break.